Say it again. All right, we are talking about, there's one concept that we have done in the past. We're not going to do this time, so don't worry about it. But we are going to talk about systems of equations. You guys have seen two before where you did elimination substitution. We're going to do something similar to that using elimination, but this is a little different because there's 3 equations and 3 variables. All right, it's a very methodical kind of process. What we're going to do is we're going to take our 3 equations with our 3 variables, and we're going to use elimination to get them into what's called row echelon form, which means the first equation has 3, the second equation has 2, and the third equation has 1. If you guys were given a system of equations in row echelon form, could you figure out what x, y, and z are? How would you do that? You already know z is 2. So what would you do with z? You plug it in right there. And then you would solve for what letter? Y. Then you take y and z and plug it into the top one, right? Okay, so it's just, that's called is back substitution. You're just working backwards. In this case, we don't get an ordered pair. We get an ordered what? Triple. All right, we just talked about that in 10.1 and 10.2. We had x, y, and z because it was like a 3D object or whatever. This is all we're dealing with now. It's just 3D, but now it's in equation form. This is called row echelon form, and you use back substitution. But if you guys were given this problem right now, everybody in here could tell me what the answer is because you guys know basic algebra. All right, so this type of a question, you're going to have one of these on your quiz. As simple as it can be, guys. I know that z is 2, so what do I do with z? I plug it in. So I say y plus 4 times 2 equals 7. Y plus 8 equals 7. So what does y equal? -1, okay? Now what do I do with y and z? Plug it in. So x minus 2 times -1 plus 3 times 2 equals 9. X plus 2 plus 6 equals 9. X plus 8 equals 9. What does x equal? X equals 1. All right. And how do you think I want your answer written? 1, comma, -1, comma, 2. That's your ordered triple. X goes first, y goes second, z goes third. Can we check these answers? Yeah, how could you check? Plug it back into the first one and just make sure that you plug in x, y, and z and you get the right answer. Right? That makes sense? You guys okay? All right. So now, how would you show me or how would you check to see if an ordered triple was actually a solution? You'd have to plug it in. So guys, if you have a question like this on WebAssign or on a quiz, don't just tell me yes or no. Actually do it. So I'm going to plug in 1 for x. Why did I put a comma? I'm going to plug in 1 for x, then minus 3 times 0 for y, plus 2. Does that equal 3? Well, what's 3 times 0? 0. So what's 1 plus 2? 3. Does 3 equal 3? Yeah. Perfect. Can I just assume, since it works in the first equation, it works in the other ones? No. You need to check all of them. So in the second one, I would just say 2 times 1 plus 0 minus 5 times 2. Does that equal -8? So this is 2, and this is -10. What's 2 minus 10? -8. Good to go. And then the last one. 1 minus 0 plus 3 times 2. Well, 1 plus 6 is 7, so 7 equals 7. Good to go. Ordered triple is a solution. It has to satisfy all 3 equations, though. Don't just do one and say, oh, yeah, I'm sure it works in the other ones. Please make sure. Another thing that you guys need to make sure of that you don't make a silly mistake on, make sure all of your x's are together on top of each other, y's are on top of each other, z's are on top of each other. Very simply, that could say y plus 3x, and then you plug in the wrong number for x and y. Just silly stuff that you can help yourself out on. Make sure you pay attention to. All right, back substitution again. Can we handle this? Do I need to do this one? Okay, you just take 8, plug it in. Okay, we're good. I'm going to do it. Okay, here is how we're going to go about solving for our three variables when you have three equations. This is in words what it says to do. Pick two or three of the equations, blah, 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 blah. Here we go. Let me show you. Do you guys see how you have three equations, three variables? Yes? Okay. So what we're first going to do is we're going to get these three equations into our row echelon form. The steps. So the first equation has 3. The second equation has 2. The third equation has 1 variable. That's what you do first. And then you solve to find what the numbers are. How do we do that? How do we do that? Well, the first thing you want to make sure of is that all of your x's are first, your y's are second, your z's are third, an equal sign, and a number. Make sure everything is in standard form or you're all good to go. You want your first equation to have a positive 1x. Do I have my first equation as a positive 1x? Yes. Say this was a 3. All right, you don't have to change it. I'm just saying. Say this was a 3. Is there an equation that you could move to the top that you could somehow get to have a positive 1x? Yeah, the second one. And then what would you do to make it a positive 1? Divide everything by negative 1. Say all of them have a number you can divide out. Whatever. Just use your math skills. But you want to make sure your first equation has a positive 1x. So my first equation has a positive 1x. I'm going to come over here. And I'm simply going to rewrite that equation. X minus 2y plus 3z equals 9. Okay? Everybody with me? So now I'm going to solve for my second equation. I want my second equation to have 2 variables. I always do this the exact same way so I don't get myself confused. I'm going to take 1 and 2 and eliminate x. Then the next thing I'm going to do is take 1 and 3 and eliminate y. You'll see. So I'm going to write these 2 equations. I'm going to say x minus 2y plus 3z equals 9. And then negative x plus 3y plus z equals negative 2. And I'm going to eliminate x. I want my first equation to have x, y, and z. I want my second equation to have what 2 letters? Y and z, and then I want my last equation to say z equals. Every single time we're going to do the same thing. So if we were using elimination substitution, I personally prefer elimination. I think this would be the only way that you could do this problem. But can I combine these 2 equations and eliminate x? Yeah. They both are 1. One's positive, one's negative. So if I add these together, do you guys agree with me x's cancel? Yeah. So what's negative 2y and a positive 3y? Y. What's 3z plus 1z? 4z equals, what's 9 minus 2? There's your second equation. I'm going to put it over here. Y plus 4z equals, what was it, 7? Okay. Okay, now what do I want my last equation in my row echelon form? I have the first one has 3, second one has 2. What do I want the last one to have? Just 1 variable, just z. So I'm going to have to eliminate x's and what? Y's, all right? This is how we're going to do it. We're going to take now 1 and 3 and eliminate x. So x minus 2y plus 3z equals 9. 2x minus 5y plus 5z equals 17. And I always write it exactly how I'm writing it right now. You'll see why in a second. All right, I want to eliminate x's first. Then I'm going to eliminate y's in a minute. But how could I eliminate x's? What would I have to multiply? Perfect. We remember this. Yay. So I'm going to multiply the top equation by negative 2. When I multiply by negative 2, I have to multiply everything by negative 2. So this becomes negative 2x plus 4y, right? Minus 6z equals negative 18. You guys agree with me? Okay, so this first one's not there anymore. And now I combine them. What happens when I combine negative 2x and positive 2x? They cancel. Negative 5y plus 4y. Negative y. 5z minus 6z minus z equals, what's 17 minus 18? Negative 1, okay? So we accomplished our first goal, which would be eliminate the x's. Now, what do you think I do, guys, with this equation and this equation? I'm going to combine those two and eliminate what letters? Y. All right. Every single time you can do this the exact same way. I'll explain the process again. This is not mathematically anything you guys can't handle. It's just a pain in the butt. I can't give you 10 of these. Do I have to do anything to my y's to either equation in order if when I combine them to eliminate? No, I don't have to add or anything. I multiply it. What's positive y to negative y? It's 0, okay. What's 4z minus 1z? 3z equals, what's 7 minus 1? 6. Solve that. Divide by 3, and z equals 2. All right, so the first part of our problem is done. Z equals 2. I took the 3 equations on the left, and I got them into row echelon form. So the first equation has 3, the second equation has 2, the last equation has 1. And now we do back substitution. Perfect. I'm going to take my 2, because I need to know my answer. I need to know what my x is, what my y is, what my z is. So I'm going to take 2 and say, okay, well, y plus, is it plus? Yeah. 4 times 2 equals 7. So y plus 8 equals 7. What does y equal? What kind of 1? Negative 1. Good. So now I'm going to take x and y. Okay, so I have x minus 2 times negative 1. Y is negative 1. And then plus 3 times 2 equals 9. All right. So x plus 2 plus 6 equals 9. Yeah?
I think you did. I think you plugged in 2 before.
But I said 1.
Yeah.
Sorry. All right, so x plus 8 equals 9. So x equals what? 1. All right, so your ordered triple would be your x value, which is 1, your y value, which is negative 1, and your z value, which is 2. So on a test or a quiz, you are going to be asked to actually put your equations into row echelon form and then to give the ordered triple. And if you want to take the time to make sure that you didn't make any silly math mistakes, what can you do with 1, negative 1, and 2? Plug it into the original. You can plug it into these over here, just make sure that they satisfy. But every single time you have these problems, step 1 should be write the first equation with a positive 1. Yep. Then you're going to combine first and second, eliminate your x's. And that's your second equation. Then you're going to take 1 and 3, eliminate x, take the 2 leftovers, eliminate y, and get your z. It's a pain. Takes a little bit of it takes a minute, but it's not terrible. All right, so let's get in order here. First of all, are all my x's first, my y's second, my z's third, and then a constant? Yes? Okay. Do I have my first equation as a positive 1x? No. Is there an equation that I could move to the top? Yes. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm just going to say, okay, my first equation is going to be x minus 2y plus z equals what? 8. If you want to go over here and write it so it's moved on this as well, you're welcome to. You can go like that. All right, so I got my first equation, positive 1x. Now I'm going to take 1 and 2, yes? And eliminate what? I'm going to take 1 and 2 and eliminate what letter? The x, good. So 2x plus y plus 3z equals 9. So what do I have to multiply my top equation by so my x's will cancel out?
2.
What kind of 2? Negative 2. So negative 2 times x is negative 2x. Negative 2 and negative 2 is plus 4y. Negative 2 and z is minus 2z. And then negative 16. All right, so I can cross this one off because I already took care of it. And now when I combine, what happens when I add 2x and negative 2x? They cancel. So what's 1y plus 4y? 5y. What's 3z minus 2z? What's 3z minus 2z? Plus z, good, equals, what's 9 minus 16? -7, perfect. So there's your second equation, 5y plus z equals -7. So now my last equation should say what? Z equals. So how do I get there? There's two things I got to do. Okay, combine first and the last. So 1 and 4. So I have x minus 2y plus z equals 8. And my bottom one is minus 4x plus 3y plus 2z equals -4. What do I have to multiply the top equation by? +4. There we go. So 4 times x is 4x. 4 times -2 is minus 8y. 4 times z is plus 4z. And 4 times 8 is 32. So now when I combine -4x and +4x, cancel. What's 3y minus 8y? -5y, good. What's 2z plus 4z? Plus 6z equals? How much? 28. This was a negative, right? So 28. Okay. I want my last equation to say z equals. I combine those two. That's why I like to write them how I'm writing them, because then I kind of see, oh, wait, now I take these two and I put them together. Doesn't matter which goes on top, however you want to do it. So 4y plus z equals -7. -5y plus 6z equals 28. Do I have to multiply my equations by anything? Nope. -5y and +5y do what? Cancel. What's z plus 6z? 7z. What's -7 and 28? What is it? 21? Why did I put the 1 first? And then what do I do to both sides? Divide by 7. So what does z equal? 3. So my last equation right here is z equals 3. So that's step 1. I understand, pain in the butt. That's step 1 though. I got my 3 equations with 3 variables into what's called row echelon form. It's a stair step. I have 3 variables, then 2 variables, then 1. And now I can easily use back substitution to figure out what my ordered triple is. I'm going to take z and plug it into my second equation. 5y plus 3 equals -7. So 5y equals negative what? 10. Y equals -2. So now I'm going to take y and z and plug it into the top one. So x minus 2 times -2 plus z was 3 equals 8. So x plus 4 plus 3 equals 8. X plus 7 equals 8. So what does x equal? 1. So your ordered triple is 1, comma, -2, comma, 3. Is this a huge, terribly awful thing? No. A little bit of a pain in the butt. I will tell you guys, we're not going to give you any where your answers come out to be like -17 over 344. If you get a weird fraction, you made a mistake with a sign or something. You might get 2/3. You might get, 1/4, something like that. But if you get some random fraction that just doesn't even look like an actual number, then you probably missed a sign somewhere. So just go back and check. All right, I moved the last I moved an example to the end. I'll do it before I upload the video, but I do want to do this one just so you guys see. All right, first of all, let's look and see. Is everything x is first, y second, z is third? Guys, what happens if there isn't a letter present? 0. Okay, just make sure you guys see that. Is my first equation here a positive 1x? Yes. Do I have to use the top one? No, if you guys want to be different and say, oh, I'm going to make the bottom one, that's fine. Doesn't matter. Just long algebraically that you have positive 1x first. So I'm going to write x minus 3y plus z equals 1. All right, now we're going to go through the process. We take, again, 1 and 2. So I write x minus 3y plus z equals 1. 2x minus y minus 2z equals 2. What do I have to multiply the top by? Negative 2. Perfect. So negative 2x, positive 6y, negative 2z equals negative 2. Combine your x's. What happens with 2x and negative 2x? Cancel. What's negative y plus 6y? 5y. What's negative 2z and a negative 2z? Negative 4z equals, what's 2 minus 2? 0. Okay, there's your second equation. 5y minus 4z equals 0. So now I have to take 1 and 3. X minus 3y plus z equals 1. X plus 2y minus 3z equals negative 1. Multiply one of the equations by what number? Negative 1. You guys okay if I just go through and change signs? So I'm going to change signs on the top one. Negative, positive, negative, negative. All right, what happens when I combine my x's here? Okay. What's 3y plus 2y? 5y. What's a negative z minus 3z? Negative 4z. And what's negative 2? Sorry, negative 1 and a negative 1? Negative 2, okay? So now what do I do with these two? I'm going to combine them, right? Perfect. So 5y minus 4z equals 0. 5y minus 4z equals negative 2. In order to eliminate y's, I have to multiply one equation by negative, correct? I'm just going to do top one. So negative, positive, negative. What's negative 5y and a positive 5y? 0. What's 4z minus 4z? 0 equals, what's 0 minus 2? Negative 2. What is that telling you guys? It's undefined. This is no solution. Whenever you get 0, all the variables canceled out, you got like 0. Is that a true statement? Will 0 ever equal negative 2? No, it would be no solution. What happens if you guys got 0 equals 0? Infinite. Good. Make sure you understand the difference between that. No solution is when you get an untrue math statement. 0 equals 12. That's never true. But if everything cancels out on the left-hand side or the right-hand side, you get 0 equals 0, then it's infinite many solutions. That means any number you plug in for x, y, and z will satisfy all of the equations. Make sense? All right, I will finish the last one and before I upload the video, but I got to fix your homework, so wait a second. All right, let's evaluate. Let's figure out our ordered triple in our 3 variables, multivariable equations system. All right, so my first x plus y plus 3z equals 7. My first equation starts with a positive 1x, so we're good to go. So now I'm going to take 1 and 2. I have x plus y plus 3z equals 7, and 2x minus 4y plus z equals 7. I'm going to multiply my top equation by negative 2, so my x's will cancel out. So I have negative 2x minus 2y minus 6z equals negative 14. So this isn't there anymore. And then I can cancel out my x's. Negative 4y, negative 2y is negative 6y. Positive 1z minus 6 is going to give me minus 5z equals 7 minus 14 is negative 7. So there's equation number 2. Negative 6y minus 5z equals negative 7. So now I need z equals. So that's a two-step process. We're going to take 1 and 3 and combine them. So x plus y plus 3z equals 7. And then 3x plus 5y minus 4z equals negative 6. So I'm going to multiply my top equation by negative 3. We have negative 3x minus 3y minus 9z equals negative 21. This is no longer there because I've created my second equation. Now I'm going to cancel out the x's.
Someone left their phone.
5y minus 3y is 2y. Negative 4 and negative 9 gives me negative 13z equals negative 6 and negative 21 is going to give me negative 27. So I want my last equation to say z equals. So I'm now going to combine these two. Doesn't matter how you write them, just 6y minus 5z equals negative 7. And then I have 2y minus 13z equals negative 27. So I'm going to go ahead and multiply my bottom equation here by 3. So this would give me 3 times 2 is 6y minus 39z equals negative 81. So that's not there anymore. And now I'm going to combine these two. So my 6y's will cancel. Negative 5 and a negative 39 is going to give me negative 44z equals negative 7 and negative 81 gives me negative 88. Divide both sides by negative 44. And I get z is equal to 2. So my last equation here is z equals 2. So there is my row echelon form. Now I'm going to use back substitution to figure out what my ordered triple is. I have negative 6y minus 5 times 2 equals negative 7. So negative 6y minus 10 equals negative 7. I'm going to add 10 to both sides. So negative 6y equals 3. Divide both sides by negative 6. And I get y equals negative 1/2. And then lastly, I'm going to take my top equation. So x minus 1/2 plus 3 times 2 equals 7. So x minus 1/2 plus 6 equals 7. X plus 5.5 equals 7. Subtract 5 and 1/2 from both sides. And I get x equals 3/2. So the ordered triple would be 3/2 or 1.5, negative 1/2, and